Now we gotta have our moments where everyone goes their separate ways. And you know what? This is actually an interesting way of doing it, I think. Because I saw how this plays out just a little while ago. The last time I did my advanced scouting. Rather than just put every single epilogue, like individual epilogue at the end, we're going to go through some of them and have a conversation with other people and then go through some more. It's a nice change of pace. Oh, Edward, Blade of Justice. I wouldn't mind a nickname like that, but might be a little too corny for me. Proven skills and good looks? I don't know. Kind of weak the entire time, if you ask me. Alright, Nolan became a hero. That's cool. Alright, Laura went to an orphanage. That's about all there is to say about that. And Ilyana, her entire personality has been reduced to she hungry. That's it, even her epilogue. And Aaron sure existed. There was that moment where, you know, he was where he had more defense than Tornado, so yeah. That's sure is a trope. Tornado working in the military, go figure. Zahark, who had so little screen time. It's just unfortunate. He comes in as like a second tier unit when none of your other units are like that. So my instinct is to not use him very much, and then he just falls behind when you do have to use him. And Jill, poor Jill. Could have been great, but kind of suffered the same problem. Just hard to use him. Her. And Har. Har finally managed to retire. Oh, God, Fiona. Another impossible to use unit. I don't know what they were thinking. You get her for like 2 chapters in part 1. And then suddenly, the next time you see her, it's part 3, and she's still like a level 1 Cavalier. It's just baffling. I guess I could, well, yeah. I guess I could talk a little bit about my overall opinions of the game. I was going to try to save it for the credits, though. And the thing is, all in all, there's definitely like potential. They had a great game to work from with Path of Radiance, a very solid foundation. But there are just so many baffling decisions, like in terms of gameplay, sometimes even story. Oh, here we go. 'Cause, you know, I don't know what they were thinking. You get her for like 2 chapters in part 1. And then suddenly, the next time you see her, it's part 3, and she's still like a level 1 Cavalier. It's just baffling. 'Cause, you know, I don't know what they were thinking. You get her for like 2 chapters in part 1. And then suddenly, the next time you see her, it's part 3, and she's still like a level 1 Cavalier. It's just baffling. Oh, here we go. Ike wants to fight a lion. He just took down the goddess of order. He declared in the most physical of ways, no gods, no masters. And now he's here talking about wanting to fight a lion. Alright, so I guess Kanagus just, yeah. I'm home. I'm done. Just, goodbye. And also Gifka was there. But it's alright. Skrimir was there. He learned, he grew as a person. And I guess he took border patrol very seriously. Just putting himself on the front lines. And poor Ranulf had to be dragged everywhere. Oh, right, Lethe. It's a shame what happened with Lethe. She was, and Mordecai too, for that matter. They were cool, but like in Path of Radiance. Everyone loves Mordecai, the gentle giant. But then they get such limited availability. And by the time you can, like their availability does open up, they're really lagging behind. Especially with cat Lagoos, like their transformation meter burns up so quickly. And shifting is something you have to choose yourself. It just makes normal Lagoos like so much of a hassle to use. So then you get those characters like Lyre and Kai'Sa who show up and they don't do anything. And, oh yeah, by the way. They were leaving all kinds of clues, especially at the end there, but, it turns out that Sanaki's older sister, who had been assassinated along with the previous apostle, turns out it was Micaiah all along. She wasn't actually assassinated. And that's also where her brand comes from. She's a descendant of Laron and Altina, like all the apostles are supposed to be. So I wish I could just like show it. I don't think there's a gallery, but way back in part 1, when they show a close-up of Micaiah's brand, it's actually like a pair of wings. A pair of heron wings, specifically, because she is the descendant of a heron Laguz, who is Laron. So I retweeted something recently that said that, you know, if you're going to have a big reveal, a big twist, it should be foreshadowed. That's good writing. So, right, she does got to become queen. But the foreshadowing should be there. That's what makes good writing. So by that metric, it's okay. My opinion has softened a bit. I think that's a really good point, and there is There are bits and pieces of foreshadowing throughout the game about who Micaiah is. That's why she could always hear voices. It was the voice of Yune warning her of the outcomes of different things. It's how she could see the future. I mean, that was always like an established part of her character. So I'll let this slide. I'm not going to try to dissuade anyone of their opinions on this revelation, but I personally will let it slide. What I won't let slide is that we don't get to spend enough time with her for it to feel like a big welcome kind of revelation. There was that time where she tried to commit, well, at least I'm still convinced it's probably a Fire Emblem war crime to pour oil on Pegasus Knights and then try to light them on fire. Okay, these epilogues are really good, actually. Sigrun, loved by her subordinates for her kindness. Tanith, feared by her subordinates for her strictness. Putting those back to back is a good bit. I respect you, Fire Emblem. Oh, Vika. The ever-forgettable Vika. Same with Morim and Tormod, for that matter. For the same reason I was talking about with Fiona, they show up... Or like with Zahark, they show up when they're really good. So good that they drain experience. No one else can get experience when they're around. And then by the time they reappear, they're completely outclassed. Also, Oliver is here. Unfortunately. I don't want to say at least he turned over a new leaf. But at least he's maybe not trying to buy herons as slaves anymore. That's still not a redemption. That's stepping over a bar that's 6 feet underground. All right. Okay, so the bird tribes are trying to compromise. That's nice. Well, they're talking about major issues, but I feel like the way you get your food is kind of major. We're just gonna leave it at that. We're gonna still disagree about whether it's okay to hunt for food. All right, Naysala. I'd say, oh look, Naysala, the duplicitous Naysala has gone into politics, but I mean, if you're king of a nation, you're kind of involved in politics already. Janeth serving the new king, same as the old king. Oh, dude, buddy, you gotta eat, you gotta sleep, and you gotta have your weekends. Yeah, with Olki having extremely sharp hearing, is it any surprise that he frequently likes to get his alone time? Oh, Neolucci! I forgot about him, too. Every year he set a new age record. Thank you, Fire Emblem. And Volk continues to be enigmatic. That sure is an epilogue. Wish Spinner. That's it's an interesting title. Hey, look at that. I guess they're finally seeing a change in their birth rate. It's finally gone up from 0. Good for the dragons. I do like the idea of Nasir being great-grandpappy. Let's just pretend that he takes care of children the way Piccolo does. But, like, late in Dragon Ball, was it Super Piccolo? Not, like, early Dragon Ball Z Piccolo. It's possible. I don't know. To be honest, I'm not sure how many things actually change if you can get A rank supports. I do know of one thing. There is a special conversation that will happen, and this is a good time to bring it up. One of the problems that I have with Radiant Dawn. There is a special conversation that will only happen on a second playthrough where Ike and Soren have an A rank support, where Ike fights the Black Knight in part 3, in the battle where you're on the river. Ike has to fight the Black Knight in part 3, where neither of them can die. Soren, I think, has to fight Micaiah at some point. Either in that same battle or in the last chapter of part 3. So you got to do all that. Like I said, you got to have the A rank support between Ike and Soren in this game. And you also have to import a save file of Path of Radiance where Ike and Soren had an A rank there. Hey, thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. You're just in time for the epilogues. Wait. Does Ike have to fight? Or does Soren have to fight Micaiah for that conversation? I feel like Peleus has to be involved somewhere, which is another reason why it can only be done on a second playthrough. Anyway, all of that has to happen in order to see a special cutscene at the end. And I'm fine, thank you. How are you all? Lovely raiders. Appreciate you coming here. You know what? I'm glad that Braum never had to pick up a weapon again. Good for Braum. We didn't get to see much of his personality, but I like him. Alright, well, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Jeez. Yeah, I think Soren has to fight Micaiah and Peleus. So there's a reason for that, and I guess I'll get into it now, because we're not going to be able to see it play out on screen. Oh. Yeah, well, the thing about Radiant Dawn Ike, they're both fine Ikes. It's just that Radiant Dawn Ike looks as strong as he's supposed to be. Path of Radiance Ike is just a little too scrawny for what he's supposed to do. That's just my opinion. But anyway, I do want to get into the secret conversation with all these obscure conditions. If you do that, you will find out. All this time, it turns out that Peleus was not the Prince of Dayan. He's not like the true prince. He never was. So like when you find out that he's got a brand and he thinks it's just like the spirit's mark or whatever that's supposed to give him magical power, and like Micaiah suspects, you know, whatever. Then you find out that Almeida was Dragon Lagoos, so like her kids should be branded, just like Peleus. No, it turns out he really did just have the spirit's mark all along. He's not branded because Almeida's real son is Soren. It was Soren the whole time. It's not a coincidence that they have the same hair color, I think the same eye color. They've got similar markings on their foreheads. Soren was the true Prince of Dayan all along. And you can only find that out on a second playthrough after fulfilling so many obscure conditions. But since we're not seeing that, what we're getting instead is at the end of the game, when all is said and done, Ike and his boyfriend Soren went on a journey together and disappeared. They eloped. So yeah, that's it. What other thoughts did I have about the game? Alright, so there are the Byzantine conditions to get extra lore. You have to play through twice. Like, oh my god. That part I'm not a fan of. Honestly, a lot of the stuff that's connected to a second playthrough, I'm not a fan of. Like being able to spare Peleus. I hate that that's restricted to a second playthrough. Because that was so dumb. He finds in a hidden book in a secret room that you can't break a blood pact by... They couldn't break the blood pact by defeating the Benyon Senate. Somehow he figured that out. But he somehow decided that it would be okay if he died instead, that it wouldn't make it, or that it wouldn't, preserve the pact somehow. Like, the fault in his logic is, I feel like, is kind of evident from the start. And then he dies, and then you find out, oops. All because Almeida wouldn't talk. She knew all about it, and she wouldn't say a thing. Good job. What else? I'm still mad about the Black Knight reveal. That's also, like, the stupidest thing. Like, I was talking earlier about how the foreshadowing should be there throughout the story. That's part of good writing, if you're going to have a twist or a reveal like that. And then, so they did that pretty okay with Micaiah, and then they just didn't do it at all with the Black Knight. Like, literally, you get to part 4, you have to divide up all your units into 3 different armies. And then, right before they all leave, Ranulf goes over to Ike and says, oh yeah, by the way, the Black Knight is General Zelgius, and has been this whole time. Just thought you should know. And there's no hint of that. At least presented in-game. It's stupid. They could have easily done something like when Ranulf fights Zelgius, because, that makes Ranulf the only character up to that point who has fought both the Black Knight and Zelgius. Could have just had Ranulf, say something vague, like, wait a second, I remember this fighting style, or something like that. Could have just had that. But they didn't even do that. Just an absolute waste of potential. Other thoughts? I know I've talked about how much I hate the support system and how it's just so devoid of anything interesting. But, we're at the credits. I gotta include it. So many characters... Do they fight differently? I mean... I'm not going to go back and check the footage, to be honest. The only time you see Zelgius fight in-game is when he fights Ranulf and Skrimir, I think. And the only thing I remember from that is just the way that Zelgius kind of lumbers forward. And, kind of swings his sword, I guess. It's been a while. But I'm just going off of even Ike saying, you know, if I'd ever seen you fight in person, I would have known right away. And Zelgius was like, yeah, too bad you didn't. So I don't know. I guess I'm just assuming that their animations were the same. But still, like, the fact that Ranulf had fought Zelgius as Zelgius and the Black Knight, it was enough for Ranulf to figure it out. And he just never said anything until they split up. And it's just... If they wanted... I feel like they could have just done a much better job of revealing it. Let's see, what was I saying about supports? Yeah, I mean, on one hand, I kind of get it. There are a lot of playable units available to you. I haven't done like a full count, but it's at least 70. Probably like 75 units that you could potentially use. So I get that it would be kind of a daunting task to try to write support conversations for that many characters. Especially if players aren't even going to get much of an opportunity to see them. Because of things like limits on how many support conversations a given character can have in a single playthrough. So I get that, but the result is not great. Like, I didn't even really use supports mechanically all that much. It's too bad because, you know, they came up with all these new characters and then maybe they'll get a base conversation or two and then that's it. But yeah, Ike rules. The game is saying Ike rules, and I'm very much inclined to agree. Is he the best lord in all of Fire Emblem? I'm hard pressed to think of a better one. Ah, we gotta have our records too. Get our stats in. All casual stuff, of course, but God, the way the times on some of these battles, though. God, an hour, 31 minutes. Jesus. Yeah, hour long each towards the end of part 3. Desert map taking an hour 15. All right, come on, let's get our battle rankings. Oh my God, are we gonna have to go through all this? I couldn't even get one kill with Fiona. Even Meg managed to get a kill once. Wow. Let's see. Any other surprises? Makalov with 8. That's actually kind of surprising. Mist getting more kills than Tabarn is hilarious. Valencia getting more kills than Tabarn is hilarious. Alright, Boyd. Looks like he was ranked number 6. Boyd, our boy, who unfortunately just did not qualify for the final. 5th overall, Titania. Go figure. 64 kills. 16 deployments. Well, 65 for Micaiah. That's... yeah. I mean, I did try to use her as much as I could because, well, she is required. Rolf. Absolute powerhouse. Especially when he's promoted and he gets that extra range. Yeah, Rolf is really good. Nephany. I've always got a soft spot in my heart for Nephany. Har. Number 1. Wait a second. I didn't even see where Ike was. I wasn't paying attention. Oh, that's fair, though. I mean... thanks to my imported file, Ike had a lot of his stats boosted, and I was able to exploit bonus experience with him really easily, really early on. So that would explain why. Like, I got him up to level 20 like quickly because I didn't see any point in waiting. So I didn't actually use him that much, so I guess it's not a surprise that he wasn't top 5. But good for Har. I guess I'll just put the clear data here. I'm going to see, there should be like a gallery or something that we can look at now. Yeah, we've got combat records. 392 turns overall. Replay event, what is that? Oh, base conversations. That's interesting. Okay. Support archive, which isn't... just character illustrations. Just, that's it. That's all these are. They all look like that. You can't even zoom in on them. Like, what the hell? It's underwhelming. I think theater is just... yeah, this is where all of the CGI cutscenes are. Sound room. This one here is the only one that I'm pointing out just because I know it's got those same obscure requirements, or maybe a different set of obscure requirements to unlock. There's one thing I neglected to mention in terms of what you can do on a second playthrough, and one of those things is you actually recruit Sephiran in the end game. I guess I could look up real quick. Let me see what if those requirements are any different. Just get my phone out here. But you can recruit him if you're on a second playthrough. He won't die. And if he survives the final battle, a special song plays during the credits. And that's what this missing song is. I think it's the only song that has a hidden, like, unlock requirement like that. That's not... And I want hints and secrets, not hidden treasure. Okay. Here's what it says to recruit Sephiran or Laron. On a second playthrough, deploy the Black Knight in the Part 1 endgame. Which I didn't do because as the Black Knight, he's at level 20, so anything he does, he's taking experience from other units. So that's step 1. Step 2, make Ike fight the Black Knight in Part 3, Chapter 7, and both characters survive. That would be that battle in the river I talked about. At the end of Part 4, Final 2, a new event, Ike's Memory Scene, will play. So that's something I've forgotten to mention. If you do that, you get some extra background for Ike. And then when you do that, Sephiran will automatically show up on turn 1 of the super final battle as a playable unit. Again, you got to go through the entire game again just to see that. And, I didn't have as bad of a time as I thought I would with this. Like, I think that's fair to say. But I don't think I wasn't willing to do a second playthrough when it first came out. Just for this extra bonus content. And I'm not terribly willing to do it now. So, oh well. That's it for Fire Emblem. The Radiant Dawn. That means that's an end to the Ike saga. Which is fair. I guess it did say in the end that after the battle, he just kind of set off on his own. Well, not on his own. With Soren. With his fiancée. And was never seen again. Fair enough.